instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past. Whatever they are, whatever you call them, ghosts, spirits, shades, specters, apparitions, there is not a corner of the world they do not inhabit.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to this episode of Other Dangerous Podcast. I am Ken James. With me is Jay.
I'm Aaron Mankey. Oh, wait, wrong podcast. Sorry.
Wrong podcast, dude. No. I know I've been getting a little repetitive with my intros here, but so this is Jason McKittrick, the prick that he always is.
Hey, folks.
Yeah. So tonight he's going to lead us into what we got going on. So what's up for tonight, Jay?
Oh, tonight we're going to be doing some ghosts of the sea. You know, some good nautical ghost stories. We got a couple ghost ships, a couple haunted lighthouses, a couple wacky stories centered around, you know, just the good stuff.
Yeah, the good sea spooky shit, man.
Absolutely. And living close to the ocean myself, right before we started recording tonight, I was watching the fog roll over the ocean, and it just put me in the right mood for this episode. So
Hell yeah.
So I think Ken's got the first story for us. What do you got, Ken?
I do, man. This is a good one. This is one of the ghost ship categories here. This is the Palatine Light. All right, so this was a ship named the Countess Augusta, a.k.a. the Palatine, and it was carrying 240 immigrants from the Palatine region of southwest Germany. Captain George Rotterdam and his 14-man crew set sail from Rotterdam in August of 1738, and they headed to Philadelphia, where I'm at, and Virginia. It didn't take long for bad luck to strike. From contaminated water to stormy seas pushing them off course, a lot of passengers and crew died. After the captain died, First Mate Andrew Brooke took charge. As they ran out of supplies and started charging passengers for rations, you know, very kind of him, Brooke tried to steer the ship between Block Island and Long Island Sound, but a blinding snowstorm drove them into the ground of Block Island. The reports of what happened next vary. One version was from an account of a surviving crew member found in 1925 that stated 150 of the passengers survived. Islanders buried 20 of the dead passengers, and some settled on the island happily ever after. But another version says that the Islanders lured the Palatine into the shore with a false light or lighthouse, murdered their surviving passengers, and set the ship on fire to cover up their crimes. And funny enough, this is something that Block Island was notorious for back then. And the legend is that every year between Christmas and New Year, Islanders can see like a flaming ship and hear screams of one of the passengers. Her name was Mary Valentine, and she was driven mad by her suffering and refused to leave her possessions. And many stories and poems were written about this story, and the seeing of these lights is so common in Block Island that like they'll forget to even like mention like the people that still live there. Like they'll see it and they're just like, it's the fucking Palatine Lights. Like that's just what it is, and they're so used to seeing it they don't even like bring it up and just accept it as a regular occurrence.
This sounds like if they were going to write a dark, gritty reboot of Gilligan's Island, right? Or am I off?
Yeah, no, you're right, but it would have to have like different timelines. You know, like that episode of Rick and Morty. You know, like
okay,
you would have to play out where like it'd be in the same timeline, but like you know, instead of them living happy, you know,
yeah, that's what I mean. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, one thing went differently, and now we have a different, diverging timeline. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, but like they even said like one of the popular quotes from like captains at this time was like, I'd rather be, driven into Block Island than to have to, whatever their menial task was. But yeah, the place was notorious for just driving people in there and looting their ships.
Excellent.
Awesome, man. I love
pirates along Long Island. Love it.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So what do you got next, man? What do you got?
I have a sort of a ghost ship style. I mean,
put it in my veins, man.
All right, I'll give you your fix, man. So this one I had to put first because this one I've known about for a little while, and it's just strange. It's the story of the Orang Medan. Now, this is a ship. This is 1947, right after World War II. Two American ships are in the Strait of Malacca, which is in Malaysia. They pick up a rescue beacon from this ship. They only get like partial messages from them, but they pick up a couple weird ones, and one that just says, like, cuts out and just says, "I die." So like, well, we picked up the rescue message. We have to go help them. So they sail out there, and they find the ship. Just doesn't seem like anything's wrong. Just floating out there, no engines on, no nothing. And when they come aboard, they find that the entire crew, including the dog. Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, that was a ghost dog. It will be later. I apologize, guys.
The entire crew, including the dog, is dead on board with terrified expressions and contorted limbs, just laying on board.
Yeah, even the dog apparently had like a snarling face.
Yeah, like they all had like a look of terror on their face, which is insane. So they didn't, before they could investigate further, they're like, well, we got to bring the ship in. They tie it up to the back of their ship to possibly salvage and just, investigate more. But as they're going, they see smoke start to rise from the back of the ship, and they get, they follow their sailor's intuition, I guess, and they cut the boat loose. And literally 30 seconds later, the Orang Medan explodes.
Sinking all evidence.
Now, theories on what this could have been like runs the gamut, from ghost murder to alien abduction to just breathing in some horrible fumes of a chemical weapon that was being developed after World War II. We don't know.
Didn't they say like that like their bodies had such a high decomposition rate, like that it was almost unexplainable, like, and the rigor mortis set in so fast?
See, that's the thing. Because it happened so fast, and because they do have documentation, they do know that it happened, but there's like a couple versions of the story where like, oh, they had advanced decomposition, or they had, it made no sense for them to, be, curled up the way that they were, or the and that there was no marks on their body was the big thing. So that's what led people to believe, oh, it was some kind of like nerve agent or something, or some kind of like, chemical weapon that they may have been testing. They really don't know. I choose to believe ghost murder.
I like ghost murder too. Yeah, I was looking at it when you sent me it, and I saw like it was brought up in like a CIA, disclosed document like recently, like about like the cause of what happened.
There was a book released not too long ago. There's a guy who literally has spent the last 50 years investigating this, and he still has no more answers than when he began.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's just a strange story, and just because the boat exploding right after everything happened, they just don't know.
Up in mystery, man. I love it. I was actually like, my director came walking by me at work, and I was like, "Hey, you ever?" Like, I brought it up to him.
They rescue it, and bam, down to JV Jones' locker. I don't know.
I love it, man. That's a good one. This one is kind of in a similar, I guess, time frame, but it's the SS Watertown faces, which
I know this one.
Oh man, even today, if you look at those pictures, like, whew. All right, but. So in December of 1924, two crewmen of the SS Watertown, their names were James Courtney and Michael Meehan. They both died in a tragic accident while cleaning an empty cargo tank, and they succumbed to engine and oil fumes. At the time, the SS Watertown was traveling from New York City to the Panama Canal, so the two men were given a traditional burial at sea, like you do.
As you do.
Yeah. During the bodies being tossed overboard, when asked if anyone would like to say some final words, no one spoke up. And it was thought that, it was thought that the two were not liked by the rest of the crew, and that's what landed them the tank cleaning job in the first place. They're like, send fucking Courtney and Meehan in there.
Oh, they weren't just down there huffing the stuff? It was actually part of the whole job?
Yeah. Well, they break it up. When they recovered, when they found the bodies, the one was like laying on top of the other, and it seemed like he was trying to carry him to safety on the way out. So they figured maybe on that, he huffed, inhaling it too, and passed it on top of him.
Friends to the end.
Friends to the end. They're the only two that liked each other on the ship, apparently. But so the bodies were sent overboard, and they weren't exactly ever seen again. Soon after, the crew reported seeing the faces of the men in the water and the waves surrounding the ship. The faces would appear 5 to 10 seconds, then fade back into the water. And crazy enough, it got to the point where like everyone on board the ship observed the faces, even the captain. And he ran it up the flagpole, told it to superiors, and they tasked him. They were like, all right, well, if you're seeing this and your whole crew's seeing this and you got to worry about morale and things like that, you better record some evidence. So he bought a camera and did just that. Next time the faces appeared, he took 6 photos, 6 of them. 5 were just the waves, normally. But then the last one showed the ghoulish faces of Courtney and Meehan emerging from the waves. And there's been many investigations into these photos, and they all came back the same. The picture was not tampered with. This is well documented by the Navy, and this is, a real photo.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, if you don't know it, folks, give it a quick Google. But this is one of those ones where you look at it and it's like, I don't know if this is like a pareidolia case, because people see faces all the time, like, oh, look at this face, Jesus pops up on pieces of toast sometimes. But this one, this one's a good one, and this one's an old one. This is before you can't just look at it and be like, oh, shopped. Nope. It's 1924, I think you said. It's.
This was in 1924.
I was paying attention.
Yeah, nice. I apparently wasn't. I had to go back to my notes, but no, man. And if you still look at that picture, my manager at work, and I was telling him about this one too, because I was just pumping myself up for tonight, at work, and I had him Google it, and he was like, what the? I was like, yeah, dude, and look into it.
It reminded me of 2 others that always pop up when they talk about ghostly faces. There's the ghostly monk faces from the Castle Pomeroy, I believe it's called.
Okay.
It's in England. That's one that's shown often, and then there's the haunted faces of Belmez, the housewife in Spain who was washing, and the faces would just show up.
Yeah, and they would hear disembodied voices at first, It started with that, and then eventually that's a good one.
And the best part about that one is that she was basically driven mad, and then they close the house up, no faces. It's locked up. They go back a couple years later, and there's all new faces on the floor.
Yeah,
folks, look that one up. The faces of Belmez. Right before you go to bed, look that one up.
But one thing I do want to say about the picture, the photo that they took, that that you can just Google this, just the SS Watertown faces, the way the faces look, and everyone that saw them, those are those guys, but the way the faces look, it's almost like when I said ghoulish, it's like a tormented, twisted, like a you motherfuckers face,
right.
Both of them too. One looks more like I'm yelling, the other looks more like this sucks, and then you're like,
almost to the point maybe they got out of their body bags and weren't dead.
Yeah. I mean, and followed them for months, swimming, surviving in the ocean.
Followed them for months.
T-shirt.
Yeah, there it is. I was just about to say it. But folks, we hope you follow us for more than months.
Yeah. We want to go further than that. If not for us, the T-shirts.
Right. And which will be coming along soon, I assure you.
Oh. There's a plan. There's a planamist. We got plans going.
We've got plans. So,
all right, so Next up,
another lighthouse. This one is one of my favorites. This is the Execution Rocks Lighthouse. Now this bad boy was built in 1849. It's in Long Island Sound, New York. Wow, this place. So this island sits. It derives its name from the colonial era New York, when slave-owning settlers of nearby Sands Point disposed of troublesome slaves by chaining them to the rocks during low tide to let them drown.
Classy men back then.
But then there's another story that it also gets its name from, or that doubly gets its name from, that during the Revolutionary War, British would capture Continental Army soldiers and then would do the same to them, chain them to these rocks and just let them die for, when the tide came in. Picture colonial era creep show, Ted Danson, Leslie Nielsen, something to tide you over. I don't know. Another fun part about this island, serial killer Carl Panzram. Great guy. Fun
being a keyword there.
Yeah, fun guy. Yeah. No, not really. Claimed in his posthumous autobiography that in the summer of 1920, he raped and killed a total of 10 sailors and then dumped their bodies in the sea next to Execution Lighthouse.
these sailors, like I understand like the concept of like he was like I'm building a crew, you know, like, and I'm not throwing shade at sailors this time there, Jay. I know you're quick to accuse me of doing that with locksmiths and such, but like
it's your MO.
Like, yeah, it is. But like you know, you think of sailors most of the time, you're like, you know, these aren't greenhorns. A little lingo for you there. They're you know, most of them are salty old dogs. Some more lingo.
What did
and
you
like,
just get off watching like Deadliest Catch?
No, I actually I love that shit. No, no, just years of working in retail, we made so many ship references.
Gotcha.
My one manager would be like, "Back to crabbing." He would always yell that at us, and we're like, "All right, I'll sell audio equipment."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but like these sailors that were just like, "Yeah, I'll get on here." Yeah, and then like they get banged and killed. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Panzram was once again, folks. If you don't know his story, wow. Wow. And the amazing thing is that he documented his entire life story while he was in prison. And, you know, a lot of this stuff was corroborated because they're like, oh, yeah, summer 1920? Raped and dead corpses? Yeah, that happened.
yeah. There are plenty around here.
Plenty of those. So to this day, I mean, it's a very small island, but to this day, there's anyone who goes to visit, there's tons of ghostly activity that's still reported, including full-bodied apparitions, footsteps, and then all I could find on the description was this quote-unquote unusual sounds. Yeah! So fill that in with whatever you think.
Yeah, that's like the UFO of the ghost world.
Unusual sounds, yeah.
Unusual sounds.
Yeah. I myself am strange and unusual. I don't know.
Sounds. That place, it sounds fucking terrifying, and
it is, but not as terrifying as the episode of Ghost Adventures that went there. Folks, if you have time, sit down and watch that episode. It is a polished turd of an episode.
We're in western Long Island Sound, New York, to investigate a lighthouse whose name was derived from the dark brutality that once took place here. This is Execution Rock's Lighthouse.
You know what? When you sent me that, I was like trying to like do a little research. I was like, you know, Googling and YouTubing and stuff, and like everything on YouTube was that episode of like them and like the dude, what's his name? Not Zach, the Nick's like holding a skeleton. I'm like, I'm not watching this fucking shit, man.
Yeah, it's you know. We watch for Aaron and his just I don't know what's going on. Like he's like Scooby-Doo of the crew.
Yeah, he definitely is. He is at the sound here. Yep. So, but I love Aaron. He's amazing, and not just his dude. You know, but you know, Zach gets me sometimes. He definitely does. I like we said, we discussed this, and I want to derail this whole thing, but
derailing the episode with Ghost Adventures, I'm sure it'll happen again.
Yeah. At first, when I first started watching, I fucking hated him. Then I found myself like rooting for him, like, you know, just like this idiot. And I'm like, no, you know, run.
If this really is the portal to hell, yeah. All right, buddy, what do you got next for us?
All right, well, this one. All right, so I'm a little confused on the pronunciation of the last name, but I'm just going to go with Hallett instead of Hallier.
How do you spell it?
Hallett.
Let's go with Hallett.
Hallett. That's what I was thinking. But this is the story of Goody Hallett from Cape Cod. There's many different names. They call her the witch of the dude.
Yeah, that's Goody Hallett. Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Yeah, Goody Hallett. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Maria, air quotes, Goody Hallett, she was a beautiful 16-year-old farm girl when she met Captain Black Sam Bellamy in the Crosby Tavern. Bellamy was staying in town during the warmer months and capitalized on her young naivety. He regaled her with tales of the sea and wealth he amassed on his adventures. She soon fell in love, and he promised he'd return to marry Goody after he finished some business he had in the Caribbean. He was just like,
I've got business, babe.
Look,
I'll be back.
He's like, yeah, babe, look. He's like, I know we're smashing. It's great, but I got a dude I got to talk to in the Caribbean, and you know I'll be making my way back. But anyway, so he sailed away when September came and the weather prevailed. You know, got chilly, and he was like, I was here for the sun, not for this shit. So he sailed away. He left Goody behind, and then months later, here's where it gets fucked up. Goody gave birth to a child who didn't make it, and the event was so scandalous in those times that basically she was thrown in jail.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, these events they drove Goody to lose her mind in prison, and she would escape often to the shores and of the Atlantic, where she would be desperately searching for her betrothed. Eventually, they gave up on even trying to imprison her and cast her out of town. They're like, "We can't hold you in here. Get the fuck out of here." And she was basically living out there working menial jobs. But as the years passed, Goody was a shell of the former young beauty that she once was, and the rumor mill began to turn. The locals began to say that Goody was a witch and that she could be seen on the dunes on cold nights using her deal with the devil to put a curse on the head of Sam Bellamy.
As you do.
And here, yeah, as you do. And then here's where things get a little funny. Bellamy eventually made his way back to Cape Cod, because he was trying to basically escape. He was a pirate. He had a large price on his head in these different places. He's like, fuck, let me just get back to Cape Cod. So on his way back in the winter of 1717, his ship approached Cape Cod, and a massive storm drove his ship into the bar off of the South Wall Fleet and tore the ship into pieces. And as Sam and his crew perished, the locals claimed to see Goody high on the bluffs thanking the devil for bringing her the long-awaited revenge that she needed. So the story goes that Goody can still be seen on the dunes and beaches of Cape Cod, even leaving gold coins that she retrieved from the shipwreck that Sam, once, him returning, he had, this treasure chest that went down with the ship, and she apparently leaves it for people, to come find after she's seen. But she's also often described, in a flowing white gown, and a dog's gonna die, but she's also seen in a flowing white gown, looking for the love that she once lost and waiting his return.
I love it. Sounds like a side quest in a video game.
Definitely does. Definitely does. It definitely is like a video game side quest, just for the sheer fact of all the different twists and turns that are involved in that story.
And the possibility of gaining some extra gold coins.
There you go. Some trophies in there for you. I'm fascinated with those kind of like ladies in white, but not, on the side of a road, like actually on a beach, and that longing into the ocean. And I'd say that romance of just the sea, the life at sea and its effect on people. I love that whole concept.
Yeah, the ocean being a cruel mistress and nothing but an enigma.
Yeah, man. So what do you got next for me there, bud?
We're bringing it to my home state, New Jersey, with this next story. We're not talking about Cape May.
Yeah, no.
This is the Surf City Hotel. This is in Long Beach Island, not too far from here. Surf City Hotel, one of the oldest buildings in the area, has a great story that goes along with it. In 1854, a ship called the Powhatan wrecked just off the shore near the hotel. Had nearly 300 passengers and crew members who were killed in the crash. Their bodies were taken into the hotel and stored inside as they were washed up on shore, but until people can pick them up. Mm-hmm. So while the bodies were being stored at the hotel, the owner of the hotel, a guy named Edward Jennings, allegedly robbed the recently deceased of any valuables, and apparently in the process created a bunch of angry spirits. Yeah.
Stealing from the dead.
There's many wrecks along the Jersey Shore, but this is just one of those ones that I really like because it's like instant ghost story. People die in a shipwreck. All right, let's respect their bodies. Let's steal all their belongings before they're taken off to the morgue. So up until today, both guests and hotel employees have since reported seeing apparitions and hearing disembodied voices throughout the hotel. And one of the apparitions that has been reported is that of a mother and a child together, which is kind of really ghost mom and child, pretty creepy.
Like the one of the weird things about that, it's almost like land pirating. There's almost an aspect of a whole different kind of pirating that is left out from just all the tales of pirating at sea. It's like there is these tales of like luring people in with fake lighthouse lights and all this stuff, because at the time they didn't have the instruments to really navigate the waters like that.
Sure. And these summer towns and these shore towns are always dependent on those summer dollars.
Yeah, to this day.
Yeah. Mayor from Jaws.
Well, not the mayor from Cape May?
I don't want to talk about Cape May. Let's just go. Let's just continue on with the show this evening, sir.
All right,
skipper. All right, Captain.
Yeah. All right. I would definitely like to be the skipper. But okay, so my last story for this evening is going to be the St. Augustine Lighthouse, which many people might know about. So after the Civil War, on June 1st, 1867, an old Spanish watchtower was converted back into a lighthouse. The conditions of the lighthouse and the surrounding land began to erode, and Congress approved the construction of a new lighthouse tower. Construction began in 1871, but it didn't take long for tragedy to strike, like it does not like to do. Superintendent of the Lighthouse of Construction was Hezekiah Pitte, P-I-T-T-E-E. Pitte, P-I-T, Pitty?
Let's go with it.
We're going with Pitty.
This is the pronunciation podcast.
Yeah, pronunciation podcast with Jay and Ken.
Also with dogs.
And the dog podcast that I'm going to murder. But they moved from Cape Elizabeth, Maine, with his family over to oversee the construction of the new St. Augustine Lighthouse. Hezekiah lived on the site with his family, which is his wife, Mary, their children, Mary, Adeline, Eliza, Edward, and Carrie. Soon after, the children would invite the other children of the workers to use the construction site as a playground, like you do. A railway cart, that would move supplies from ships to the dock at the salt run to the building site. The kids would be riding down to the water as like their favorite pastime. So it was like a Victorian roller coaster. So basically, the Pitty children would do this frequently, and the children would ride the cart for fun, and only a wooden board at the end of the rail would stop it at the water's edge. So someone would be like, all right, today we're just gonna pull it out at the end of the day, put it back in, ride it back up.
Sounds like Action Park.
It does sound like Action Park. Sounds like a blast.
Action Park, Civil War edition.
But so on July 10th of 1873, the three Pitty sisters, Mary, she was 15, Eliza, 13, and Carrie, who was 4, along with an unknown African-American girl who was 10, whose father may have worked on the site, were riding in the cart as they normally would. So this day, someone didn't put in the wooden board to stop the cart from going into the water, and the cart carrying the girls flipped into the water, trapping the girls underneath.
What a pity.
But, yeah.
Sorry.
The inappropriate podcast with Jake.
More like just dad jokes, because I am one.
True that. But all but one of the girls perished, and in the 145 years since the accident, strange occurrences have been repeatedly attributed to the spirits of the girls. There have been many sightings of the girls, including them playing hide-and-seek with visitors. Ghostly giggles and disembodied voices of little girls still reported to this day. And also, our boys over at TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, caught multiple experiences on video and audio while they investigated for the show Ghost Hunters.
But didn't they show up there first to fix a toilet or something?
Yeah, they were the ghost plumbers,
right?
They came and they worked something out, and then they actually did get that awesome lighthouse video, from the top, like when they were looking up, and it actually looked like people were peeking over at different levels. They would show up at one level and then go up to the next. Yes. I mean, another one of those spooky occurrences with just like, what's up with lighthouses besides the fact that, like, water carries energy. Oh, you know what it is too? It's all the fucking ships that crashed into them before they were fucking lighthouses. That could have a lot to do with it.
And then there's that whole aspect of isolation when you have lighthouse keepers that have to stay there and are trapped there. Sometimes they're there with their family, or sometimes they're there with another worker. Maybe it's just me, but is it every lighthouse ended up in like a murder-suicide pact? Was that?
I think that's how it went down.
Like, was that part of their that was in the contract?
I think if you don't end up banging the person you were staying there with, like, it was like, all right, we're either banging or I'm gonna kill you and then myself. And the other person was like, all right, I'm cool with that, instead of banging you.
I mean, it makes sense. And for further reference, please see The Lighthouse starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, that's what we're referencing. Not real events.
Actually,
Not
all real
true.
events, because I'm sure all that shit happened.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just, you know what? I would hate. Oh, God. Imagine if me and you were stuck in a lighthouse. Yeah, no. Neither one of us would be the bangy. I know that.
This is going down a weird, dark path.
Weird Dark Path podcast. You got another one for us there, Chief?
Our last entry from me this evening is another lighthouse. However, I had to pick this one for a very specific reason. This is the Point Lookout Lighthouse in Maryland. In the intro to our podcast, composed by our own Ken James, there are a few EVPs that you can hear peppered through the arrangement, and one of the ones used in there, you'll hear a boy's voice saying, "I was seeing the war." This is a Class A EVP that was captured in the basement of this lighthouse, and still just shivers me bones every time I hear it.
Yeah.
Every time I hear it.
Me bones.
Yeah, most notably featured on the show Sightings, which I'm sure we'll have a clip of after I'm done reading this. Point Lookout Lighthouse sits on a peninsula at the confluence of the Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay, and was once the site of the largest Civil War prison. The lighthouse was built in 1831. During the prison's operation, filth prevailed and wells became contaminated. Men literally froze to death in their small tents, which they were given one blanket, and they had very sparse amounts of wood. On the site, between 3,000 and 8,000 men perished there. They don't have the exact numbers, but that's a lot of...
Yeah, that's a lot of...
They were all Confederate soldiers, prisoners. Over the decades, there have been numerous reports of paranormal experiences within Point Lookout State Park, but none more so than in the lighthouse itself. These reports eventually reached the ears of the internationally renowned parapsychologist Dr. Hans Holzer, along with his team of paranormal psychologists, and they were the first to investigate the lighthouse, and this was back, I believe, in the early 90s. To this day, it remains the only Chesapeake Bay lighthouse to have earned such esteemed scrutiny. Holzer's team successfully recorded 24 different voices in the building, both male and female voices, singing and talking, and often using quite colorful language. They cursed. One comment, quote, "Fire if they get too close to you," unquote, was thought to reference the great number of Confederate soldiers in prison nearby. A female voice was recorded on the tower staircase and believed to be that of Ann Davis, wife of the first keeper, spoke of, quote unquote, "my home," and then yet another voice said, "Let us not take objection to what they are doing." So, you have lighthouse visitors, including Dr. Holzer's team, experienced very chilly air in parts of the building, along with a rotten smell that emanated from this one particular room. And it's weird because as soon as Holzer made his findings public, that room that had been emanating the stench for like over a century just stopped. Really weird.
That is really weird.
Yeah. And then in addition to the unusual sounds and smells, there are many spectral visions have also been reported, such as that of Ann Davis, which I mentioned before, wife of the first keeper, standing at the top of the stairs in a white blouse and long blue skirt. And then there were several unexplained images have appeared in photographs, the most well-known being of the ghost of Point Lookout. Now, this is like a classic photo. It was taken in the late 70s. And in the photograph, you have, there's one woman in the photograph. Behind her, there is a figure of a man, looks like he's wearing a uniform. He has like a weapon. You can kind of see a weapon. He has a sash. Then he has like his one leg is like crossed over the other, and he's like leaning on the wall.
Yeah, and it's like fading off as it goes down, right? Yeah.
This was during a seance in the lighthouse, but as usually with these photos, nobody noticed anyone there when they were taking the pictures. And then, aside from that, the other most encountered spirit at the lighthouse is the running soldier. Often there's this, it's an apparition of a soldier in gray garb, Confederate garb, running across the one access road, and they think this is the spirit of one of the many soldiers that actually were able to escape from the prison camp.
During the Civil War, 50,000 Confederate prisoners captured at Gettysburg were held here. Forced to endure freezing cold, disease, and starvation, thousands died and were buried in mass graves near the lighthouse.
the prisoners were brought here largely by steamboats and were made to walk along the sandy beach up to Fort Lincoln, where they were then turned inland and marched to the prison pen. Over 50,000 Confederate prisoners made this march, and for over 4,000 of them, it was the last march they made since they died prisoners of war.
This has to be one of the places that I've investigated that it's just the whole area is just full of activity. It's not just localized to one building or one spot on the grounds. It includes the whole area. I've never come in contact with anything like that before.
The phenomena at Point Lookout seem to follow one of the classic patterns of a haunting. Some ghost researchers suggest that highly charged emotions from the past may actually become imprinted on the environment. And in fact, many people have reported seeing apparitions in uniform, recalling Point Lookout's tragic Civil War history.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
If you want ghost stories, just go to Civil War stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, one thing cool about that kind of stuff too, like the ways like the old EVP sounded, it had such a I don't know, just like classic, like tinny kind of capturing, and that always brings like a
yeah, and they're great because in between hearing them, you don't have the stupid ghost box going.
Yeah, which is like how they force evidence now with that.
Which
kind
is
of stuff,
40% of these ghost hunting shows now. It's just green night vision and I'm tired of it.
And then yelling over it when you get something. Like, yeah, it said, you heard it? It said, it said pizza.
Dude, I swear to God. Now it's no. Back then there was. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it exploded and got so popular, but back then there was still very reputable scientists still working on the stuff, particularly Hans Holzer there, who wrote I couldn't even tell you how many books on the subject and studied a lot of the very prominent cases, but there was certainly a certain panache that came with these ghost hunters back then, but none more than our boy Peter James.
I'm coming through.
Hello.
I'm coming through. I'm just going to say this right now. We are going to have a Peter James t-shirt before the end of this year.
Oh my God. Dude, I'm ordering 4 in every color. Like,
I should just make a Peter James action figure.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has relatives. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Peter James has passed on.
Yeah. R.I.P. dog. I'm pouring out little hams for him right now.
I'm coming through.
R.I.P. dog. But yeah, I mean, and not to derail it again, like I had in the last episode with going into psychics and things of that nature. Just the quality of ghost hunting back then, with just like, okay, we got this, we didn't force all this. Just it brings such a different vibe to it. Like the advent of the modern ghost hunting technology is kind of like it works better for like the audience, but not as good for the audience in like a modern setting of everyone, popular culture, but in people that are like actually steeped in it, like we've been for years, and even the scientists and everything like that, it kind of just pulls it away, I mean,
yeah, and it's your classic, quality versus quantity kind of thing, and it's all bound within this, episodic kind of like thing where it's like, well, we have an episode and we need some evidence. It's like, well, maybe you're not going to get evidence this time, and it's like, well, it's a series, I get it, and you can't really put it on the same level, but 90s ghost hunters were better.
Yeah, true that.
Is that another t-shirt?
Yes, it is. We got like what, 5 this one?
I think that's the one I like. 90s ghost hunters were better, and like some kind of like scroll work above or below, and then a picture of Peter James just for whatever.
I'm in.
Yep.
Print it.
Yeah.
Print it, put it out, press it. Let's go.
So that's the end of my that's my last story for the evening.
Well, so before we get into the closing statements, just there's something about it, like we went into it about like the ocean and the sea and its ebb and flows, and like just like what I would like to do when I would go down the shore near you, or like when I would stay in like different whatever sea town, I would go down to the ocean around 5, and I would just stand with my knees up to it and just watch the sun come up. And I don't know what feeling I would get, but it was like, it was more of like a weirdly like I belong here. I don't know. It was like a peace, a certain natural flow that like just.
Well, I think most people feel that draw to the ocean. I mean, look at people that just flock to the ocean, and some people don't even go in. I mean, and it's like you're attracted to this. The ocean is a gigantic mystery. I mean, we're never going to see all of it. We're never going to see the bottom of the ocean, all of it. So I think it has this great mystery, but it has this great calming effect. But it's also, I think if you know me, I've admitted it many times, I am fascinated but terrified of the ocean. If you told me, hey, if you swim out 2 miles, there's $1 million, I'm like, well, there's going to be $1 million there for the rest of eternity. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I get it too. Like, I'll only go so far. Like, yeah, the things that are in there that we don't even know about, and then just the size of it, and well, that's why it lends itself so well into the paranormal, because of the mystery and of it, the inability to control it.
Right.
Even ships sink. Even these man-made things that are, you still can't even get to the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean?
Unless you're James Cameron.
Yeah. Well. Titanic was a great movie.
I mean, it was.
It was a great movie. How dare you?
I mean, it was.
Yeah. Yo, shout out to James Cameron.
Because as you know, Ken, James Cameron doesn't do what James Cameron does for James Cameron. James Cameron does what James Cameron does because James Cameron is James Cameron. Shout out to South Park on that one.
Yeah. That's going. That just
derailed the whole show.
It surrounded this episode. It really just put the kibosh on this and was like, that is what we're presenting.
And also through the power of modern technology, folks, the wave sound you hear in the background right now, we're not at the ocean. We're both in separate locations using Zoom.
Boom. And also through the magic of production, I will be trying my best to edit out dog sounds, being barking and what have you.
And a whole, good 5 minutes of filthy language from the two of us that we just had to cut out? Yeah. It was
every episode.
Every episode. It's how we warm up, folks.
Yeah. It's just like, you fucking motherfucker. And he's like, yeah, you fucking piece of shit. What are you fucking? And I'm like, fucking sucking.
It's actually worse than that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I'm cleaning it up for the kids. Oh man, I think that rounds up Ghosts at Sea.
Ghosts at Sea. I mean, at least for now.
Closing statements? Any closing statements? Or
closing statements. Carl Panzerin put up some real numbers. That's my closing statement.
All right. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm gonna go with 90s Ghost Hunters were better.
That's true. I like yours better because it talks about Peter James.
I'm coming through.
Well, I stole yours for mine, and you actually added another one. So,
are we?
You win.
Okay.
You win, but
okay, I'll go with it. Yeah, sorry, folks. It's a Tuesday night, and both of us are shot out already.
Yeah.
So, what should we tell the folks what they should expect in the very near future? Because we are in spooky season.
Yeah, well, we had a couple things planned, but we had to touch down on a Halloween special. We had to go into that. So what we're thinking is we're going to do...
Wait. So, don't give it away, Ken. It's trick or treat.
Oh.
Let them find out.
You're right. You come and ask, and then we will provide the trick or the treat. Hopefully it's both of them. But yeah, so we're going to have a Halloween special for you, and then some more episodes following. But we really hope that you enjoy this episodes and the ones previous, and we're really happy with all the compliments that we're getting, and people saying, oh hey, I listened, like I got a lot of them this weekend, and I was kind of blown away. Like people didn't even realize that we're actually listeners, and I really appreciate it to everyone.
Yeah, same from here. Been getting some good podcast good podcast feedback from some friends and for people that I don't even know. Some nice messages through the Instagram. And folks, we are still accepting submissions. If you got a great story, please email it to us, otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. We want to hear it. And we will record poorly read renditions of your stories where I say and we'll have dog noises in the background.
Yeah, and dog noises. They'll make it in. Hey man, this is real life.
It is real life.
Yeah. So for this episode of On the Dangerous Podcast, I'm Ken.
And I'm Jim Harold. Welcome to the Paranormal Podcast. Good evening, folks. Nope, wrong one. My name's Jay.
And as always, have a spooky evening. Thank you for listening to Other Dangers Podcasts. Have you had a run-in with the Other Dangers? You can reach us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to have a short discussion about the Other Dangers, you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Other Dangers Podcast. We are now streaming on iTunes Podcasts, Amazon, Google, and many other streaming services. We are also available on YouTube. And please, after listening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the Other Dangers.